Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon to all. First of all, I would like to thank all those who were willing to attend to hear the talk. Our talk session today will be presented by Associate Professor Dr. Ahmad Fauzi Muhammad Ayub, Senior Lecturer of Faculty of Educational Studies. Okay, so without further ado, welcome, Doctor.
Right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good afternoon. I'm sure all of you can hear me.
Yes, Doctor.
Alright.
Doctor. I can
okay,
hear.
Okay, my presentation is I try to finish it within 1 hour. Okay, then we have a Q&A for 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, so for those who are not willing to speak, so you can put your question in the chat room. So I'll try. I'll check in the chat room and then try to answer the question. And also during my presentation, if you want to interrupt, then you can interrupt. If you want to ask questions, Right. Okay. So again, thank you very much for attending my what we call it, my short talk. So this is about what I'm going to present this afternoon. Is that to how to craft a good research proposal, and I'm sure that most of the participant, and in fact there is some lecturers also. So thank you. But I think majority of the participant in today session is students, and I think that most of you is during the first semesters. So normally, when do you prepare your research proposal? During your pursuing a study, your preparation proposal is when you want to when. The first thing is that when you want to apply, isn't it? Okay. So when you want to apply for your study, then you need to have a proposal. And then the second thing is that when you want to nominate your supervisors, so I'm also give information regarding on my role as a head of department, and also as one of the senior lecturer in the UPM. So we try to accommodate my talk with the certain roles in the UPM. So normally the second part is that when you want to nominate your supervisors, okay, so you want to nominate your supervisor, we also need to have your research proposal. And the last proposal, then when you want to defend your proposal, that one in the case for the PhD, for those pursuing the PhD, so you need to defend your proposal. But then for the master science, for those who are doing master science or master education, for master science, your stage of preparing research proposal until the nomination of the supervisors. Right. So normally when you have your research proposal, okay. Right. By the way, I will share my slide. I will share my slide in the chat room later. So this is my outline of the presentation. So I'll give a brief talk what is a proposal, a research proposal, and then the component of the research proposal, which consists of introduction, literature review, and methodology. And I give some tips. Okay, I will give some tips on the common mistakes and also the common challenge that normally student will face when preparing the research proposal. Okay, so this is the my presentation outline. Okay, so this is me. So if you have any question, either you can put it in the chat room, and then I try to answer it during after my talk, or you can email it to me. Then I try to give the answers. All right. So the first thing. So when you are going to pursue a study, so the way normally we will see. So where is you need to prepare a research proposal. So what is a research proposal? Okay, normally when you submit your application, so we have submitted online. So the SGS, the School of Graduate Study will filter it. So they will at that level. So the graduate school uh, will uh, will send your form to the respective faculty. So that one they only look for to which faculty and also the qualification of the student. So if you qualified, then they will proceed send it to the faculty. So at this level, they don't look at the proposal. Then after your application arrive at the faculty, so this is where the graduate office, the graduate office at the faculty will look at the program that you apply and then give it to the what we call that give it to the coordinator. Give it to the program coordinator, so to assign what we call as an advisor. So this program coordinator will look into your proposal, especially in your title. So the program coordinator will assign to the respective lecturer which is related with the study that you want, the study that you want to with the research that you want to do accordingly to your research proposal. So therefore, when you do a research proposal, so you need to be written clearly. So clearly in terms of your plan, procedure, possible outcome, and also understanding and the underlying rationale of a future research. So the coordinator, first thing the program coordinator will look at the title and also the content and try to match the supervisors in the faculty that align with your application. So therefore, when you prepare a research proposal, so make sure that your research proposal is that 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 the coordinator that we could understand what you are planning to do. Okay, so for seeking approval to conduct the proposal research studies. So this is the among the definition. Okay, so a written proposal is required when the study is undertaken. It often assured that this is the key point. It offers assurance that the researcher understand that the purpose of the study and proposed method of investigation. So okay, at the second level, when we want to appoint, after you have appointed the coordinator, after the coordinator appoint a researcher, so at the second level, when we want to approve your title, so we will look whether you are ready or not for your research. So therefore, we need to make sure that the understanding, your understanding about the research that you are planning to do is something that manageable. So therefore, when you prepare the research proposal, you need to be clear with what you have planned to research. This is very important. What you plan to research? So your research topic. So normally when a research topic will reflect what are your what your research topic will reflect on the whole research. And then the next thing is that whether your research is worth, and then how your justification of your research, and then the third one is that how you plan to investigate it. So we also want to know that you have planned to do this research with the title, with the background, and then the important thing that we want to know whether at this stage you know how to implement the research. So at this level we don't look whether your what you suggest is correct or wrong. So to us there will be a lot of stages. So well, at this point we just want to know whether you know or not. How to plan your research. Okay, all right. And then so this is your when you write your research proposal. The first thing is that you need to convince your research supervisor. I'm sure that how many of you, so for the first time, then when you showed your research proposal to your supervisor, how many of you that your supervisor accept it as it is? Have you ever experienced that when you show your proposal to your supervisors that the proposal assigned by the coordinator, they start rejecting it, or your supervisor always accept whatever the research that you propose to them? Normally, what type of decision that you always receive when you submit your research proposal? Anyone? Any one of you have experience on it?
Yes, I have
Uh,
submitted twice proposal, but
okay,
but I have rejected by my supervisor.
okay, and then he or she reject it, reject or
Um,
accept it.
yeah. My research object not clear.
Okay, okay. Then okay, the when you submit your proposal to your supervisors, if it has been rejected for the first time, it is normal. So this is what we always call it as the process of learning. So far, okay, I also talk on behalf of my experience when supervising my students. So normally for the first draft, for the first draft of research proposal, we as lecturer we didn't receive, and we didn't accept, we didn't accept the proposal as it is. So of course there will be a lot of changes. So normally the common comment that we will always give is that first, what, the research is not suitable, so it's not reach in your PhD level, and then the other thing is that this is not a current one, okay, and then maybe this is too simple, so these are the process, so it's normal when you have been so it's normal when your proposal been rejected, so therefore when you prepare your proposal, so okay, I'm sure that most of the students. So what I've been observed, for the my past experience, that okay, the easiest way to do proposal is that the research proposal should come from your heart. Okay, so you cannot find any research, from browsing the internet. Okay, so you can look for from browsing the internet and to see what are the current research, but then you need to but the real research should come from your ideas. Whatever that you look from the internet is just to support your ideas. Okay, let's say that you have something that you want to do. Okay, so that is you have decided that these are the thing. That's why you think that you want to do. So you want to strengthen, or you want to look what are the issues related with your ideas. So you can ask, then you look for through the internet. Okay, so and then okay, I look at the chat room. So most of you say that you need to revise the research question. That is normal. So normally we supervisor will help you. Supervisor will help you to align your research objective. And then your objective, your research question, hypothesis, and so on. Okay. And then okay, how can we know the standard of proposal achieved at the PhD level? Okay, this one, how can we know the standard of proposal achieved at the PhD level? This one is a very subjective. Awang Ling. This one is a very subjective. So normally we don't have a guideline. So especially when you are in the different areas. So if you ask me also, I also cannot justify what are the PhD level. So it depends on your area. So the only one who can decide whether your PhD when your proposal is at the PhD level is among your supervisors, okay, or people in your area. For example, you are doing the educational administration, so you need to ask opinion from the respective supervisor in the field. Okay. Okay, and then so revise proposal. That one is this one is a normal. That one is a normal process. So don't get demotivated. When you face of this one. This type of thing. So these are the process. Do you know that some student took 4 semesters to get the research proposal right? So that one is really bad lah. So on the 4 semesters, so you quite a number of students that during the first semester they just realize that these are the research that they need to do. Because during the semester they always come and go, so been rejected, revise, and then by the time you found out that you have a time cost. So make sure that by second semester you are clear with what you are planning to do. Second semester you must clear. First semester, for example, this first semester you are taking the research method, so with a certain lecturers. So by right, the first semester you have a research proposal, research proposal for the class. So you bring your research proposal, this one, whatever you have learned from the research method class, to your supervisor and start improve it. So by right also when you're doing your research proposal for the class, you need to discuss with your advisors. Even though you haven't appointed the prospective advisor to be your supervisor, but then you need to have a early discussion so that you don't waste time. Whatever you prepare for your research method class, we can be used for your actual research. So that is the purpose we are taking the research method class. So the research method class will help you to develop your research proposal for your PhD or for your master science or master of education. And then the third thing that normally I am a supervisor, we will look whether the research that you are planning to do is manageable. Okay, you need to understand that when you do your PhD or you do your master or postgraduate, you are not saving the world. Okay, you are saving yourself. Okay, so some students are very high ambitious, so they are planning to do something big. So well, we are as supervisors, so we try to narrow down the research and so on. But most of the students will look for the minimum. To me, what I would like to advise is that try to don't go too maximum, but then try to do not too minimum, but something higher than minimum, but not too maximum. So to me, when you do a research, so you do your PhD once. So we are very rare person who to have a 2 or 3 PhD. So normally we do a PhD once and try to do it properly, and you know, it's something that is something that when you plan to do, it giving a big impact. Right. Okay. So the importance. So these are the things. So the keyword is that you need to convince your supervisors. Or your research committees. Your research committee. So the word is convince. Convince meaning that whatever that you want to do for your research, you can sell your research idea. So your committee accept your proposal to be as your future research. Okay, and then suitable and manageability. Okay, one other thing is that you need to know that your supervisor, your supervisor is a very experienced one. So they have been with the student with a lot of research, and graduating a lot of students. So they are very known, whether that your research is suitable or manageability. Because we have, for example, I have a lot of experience. We are supervisors have a lot of experience, so we know that what are the things that you are going to face. Especially those who are doing the experimental study, who are doing the survey and so on. So we normally we know what are the things that you are going to face. So you need to take into account with the whatever your supervisor's suggestion. Because if not, so if not, then you will start. This is what I meant. So if you didn't your research proposal, so didn't satisfy, so it will took you 4 semesters, 4 semesters to uh, can you imagine that when you after the 4 semester, then you just realize that, oh, these are the research that one you want to do. Okay, so they will take times. So you need time also. You need to be considered. So nowadays we got what we call as a graduate on time. So we have a benchmark. We have a limitation there. All right. Okay. Okay. So normally these are the process to do. These are the outline to prepare a proposal. Okay. First of all, okay, you know that when you want to pursue a study, what is your research area? Meaning that your program of study. So you want either you want to do education administration, education and technology, psychology, and so on. So these are the things you need to make sure. Because sometimes when we do the application, we also look the background, your degree background, your master background with your PhDs. Some of the application PhD, master is the different background with the PhD. So sometimes we accept, because we want to make sure that you have the knowledge, and you have also the skill to conduct a research. So normally when you do choosing an area of research, okay, make sure that you are capable to do that one, and to do that you try to do in your own area, on your own interest and so on. Okay. So the second step is that you need to background the review of your studies. What are the research that you want to do? So this one is in this one is something that in the air. So it's something that is not stated, that something that you are planning to do. Okay. So the background, the review of study, and then you choosing a topic. Okay. So after you choose a topic, then you go for your research objective, and then you do for your choosing method of data collection. Normally, for research proposal, okay, you only prepare for your chapter 1 to 3. Okay, for the different proposal, for the third part, for those who are doing the PhD, for your different proposal, we want to have this chapter, the very complete chapter 1 to 3. A very solid chapter 1 to 3, because during that time you have a proposal defense. So proposal defense will be like a pre-viva. But then if you're preparing proposal for your research committee, as well for your nomination for your research supervisors, so that one you don't need to have a detail. For at that level, we just want to see whether what are the topic, what are the research problem, the research objective, and the method that you want to do. So we want to make sure that students understand what are they are trying to do for the research. So and all this information, so you can look for your journal, book, newspaper, conference, seminar, and also you can get your information for your supervisor, colleagues, and others. sometimes you need to have a discussion with your students and so on. But one thing is that you may when you refer to this type of source, so please don't. Okay, we have come across that students normally they want to have an easy way to finish their studies, so they just replicate other studies. So that one is we also one of the main thing when we look for the research proposal, the novelty of your research. So you need to make sure that your research are novel. Something that we don't want for a PhD level, we don't want you to repeat another person. The difference between your study and the other person is your respondent. Or you just changing one or two variable and it becomes it's yours. So then if 10 people have that one, they changing the variable. So where is the novelty of the research? So the novelty is something that you need to also consider. Okay, so make sure that when you read from all these sources, either from the journal book and so on, you get the idea. You combine all the ideas that you get from these references and to come out to merge it with your own idea. That's why in the early stage I informed that when you want to do a research, it should come from your heart. You should know what you are planning to do. Then from there you find information to strengthen your area, to strengthen your research and to strengthen your proposal and so on. Okay. Okay, we have a question. Wait. Okay, doctor, how many pages? Is there any limitation? Okay, this one, okay, for the application of, I'm sure that as cities only you're already enrolled. Actually, for the defense proposal, there is no limitation of the subject pages. So it depends on the what we call it. It depends on your supervisors. So sometimes but then for you to graduate your PhD, we have a limitation of pages. I think for PhD we have only 250 pages and 350 pages for the whole PhD thesis. But then for masters is 200 something pages. But then for the proposal, at the moment we don't have the limitation lah. But then normally is less than 100. So you can go more. But the main thing is that for your proposal defense, so you need to have a more solid proposal. That after your proposal defense is just we are targeting that after your proposal defense you only focusing on your chapter 4 and 5. So meaning that you have a very solid chapter 1 to 3. So during the proposal defense is the comment will give on you to strengthen your research proposal. So normally after your proposal defense, you will start collecting the data. So you have been take care of your chapter 1, 2, 3 have been taken care of during the proposal defense. Only here and there comment by the examiners. So you have enough time to graduate, because after the proposal defense you do your data collection. So chapter 4, 5. So by right, you are focusing on chapter 4, 5 after your proposal defense. Okay. Okay. So this thing, So this is always when we come to the research committee. So I'm one of the research committee in a meeting. So when we have a topic, when we receive a topic for the student to nominate their supervisors, the first thing that when we look at the title, we want to know that whether this is a qualitative, quantitative, or mixed method. That one must be clear. So you at the beginning you need to make sure that whether you want to do it qualitative, quantitative, or mixed method. So I hope that you have understand what I meant by qualitative, quantitative, and mixed method. So these are the first thing they need to know, because the qualitative and quantitative, there are different type of there are different way of writing a statement. For example, for qualitative, we more use the word describe, explain, and so on. But then in the quantitative, we use a more word like predict, relationship, and so on. And then for the mixed method, it must be clear that there is two component, either either qualitative and quantitative, or they must have the two component, qualitative and quantitative. So these are the first thing. You need to make sure whether you want to do a qualitative or quantitative. Right?
Doctor,
Yeah. Okay.
for question.
Yeah.
Now I study about statistic, right? So am I
Okay.
eligible to take qualitative study for my proposal?
Yes. Statistic. I know that because statistic is for those who they taking a qualitative. So what you learn in statistics is not much use lah, because we are for the statistic class we are more on the quantitative. But then you can enroll more qualitative classes. So we have more qualitative. You can look. You can look on the in the undergraduate school office website. So go and take an qualitative subject with Prof Latif and so on. So they will that one in during that class they will we will what we call that, they will teach you how to analyze the qualitative papers research. Okay. 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 I'll try to answer. What is the minimum number of reference? Okay. Okay. Now nowadays students they always want numbers. So how many pages and how many references? So this one is very subjective lah. So how many minimum numbers reference? Uh, okay, references is normally we will look. So at least what can what can I just give you is that 80%, 80% or 60%, 70% of your references should be 5 years latest. So how many journal, how many books is normally we took from journals, and then it from the latest one. So actually we don't have the rule of thumb, the numbers for the references. So and as long as it's sufficient enough to support your research. Okay, so that's only we can. If I say that you need to have 120 references, so after the 120 you will stop. So you can go beyond on that. Okay, for PD, how many theory do we need? Okay, Deva, I will come later.
Excuse me, doctor.
Yeah.
May I ask a simple question? And I think,
Okay.
shall we read the journal article then the select topic, or after selecting of the topics then read the journal article?
Okay. Okay. The first thing is that first you need to know what are your plan to do for your research. So you may have a rough idea what you plan to do for your research. So you have that come into your mind. Then you start looking for a journal or any information to support with your studies. So then from there you build up your research. So normally you need to have what are you planning to do, and then you look for your research. Right.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you, doctor.
All right. Selecting a topic. Okay. Actually, selecting the topic is very important. As I mentioned that when we look at your topic, we know that whether the student they understand or not what the research that they are planning to do. So title you need to concise and descriptive. So you need to be clear with the topics. The title. So normally the title will reflect on what? On the method that you're using. Okay, qualitative or quantitative. Okay, based on the title. The research area, whether you want to do the education administration or what. Okay, and the respondent. The respondent. So the location of your study, and the important thing is that towards the end the contribution of your research. Normally, we will look on what are the output that you are planning to do, from based on the topic. So make sure that when you plan to when you to select a topic, you have this all these elements. So it need to be stated in terms of functional relationship because it may clearly indicate the independent and dependent variable. And this another thing that you need from the topic you need to know, you need to be clear your independent and dependent variable. But then if sometimes that you have too many independent variable, you don't need to spell out. Maybe you can group some of your independent and dependent variables. Okay, so normally independent and dependent variable for those who are doing the quantitative studies, so it's very clear what is your independent and dependent variable. But then for qualitative, maybe there is a little bit different. Okay, and then okay, so a good title. Okay, so a good title will attract readers' interest and a positive attitude. Okay, so especially when we are doing our committee, when we want to approve your supervisor, when we look at the title, we know that whether this one we will approve it straight away or not. So when your title is clear, it doesn't need to be very attractive or very catchy or what. As long as it's clear, so anyway we don't need to understand that. We also understand that in future the title might change, but then the rough idea, the right idea for the student to doing the knowledge or the research is there. So indicate the type of study, ethical issues, relevant of the study, and these are the elements that you need to be considered when you choose the topic. And then I would like to invite all of you. I don't want to go in detail how to choose a good title because our dean, Professor Dr. Samsila Roslan, okay, she will give a talk like this on the workshop. How do I know my topic is up to a PhD standard? Can you come on this one, 24 February, for more detail? Just specific talking on the this one, how to choose a up to PhD standard. So maybe during this time, maybe in this session, you will ask what the level of the PhD based on the topic. Okay, so please block your date on the 24th February. Okay, all right. So we have done with the title. Okay, so now we go to the introduction. So in the chapter 1, normally in the chapter 1 we have what the introduction. So normally what in the introduction, so in the introduction, so student always confused what is the difference between the introduction and also in the literature review. Some student, my student or other student that I come across, wherever written in the chapter 1, they will copy and paste and put it in the chapter 2, which is wrong. So chapter 1, chapter 2 is different. Chapter 1 is the brief ideas, the brief ideas on what you are planning to do. Meaning that when I'm as a reader, I'm reader for Viva or for different proposal, when I read your chapter 1, I have the whole ideas. I have the whole idea that what you are trying to do. What are the research that you are investigate? What are the variables that you want to study? What are the theories that you want to use? And so on. What are the research gap? And so on. So it is an outline or general ideas of study which your research for. Okay, in chapter 1, you just give a general idea. In detail, you can enhance your writing in the chapter 2. So in the chapter 2, you go in detail. So basically, when you do your outline, whatever outline the chapter 2, so you do it in the chapter 1, but then in the brief and in a different form. So don't copy and paste whatever in the chapter 1, put it in the chapter 2, and then in the chapter 2, you just add on. Okay? And then these are the element broad perspective of the related past studies. So we also want to know whether you are have a sufficient knowledge on the past studies, rationale of for doing the present research. So this one you need to highlight, and then demonstrate the significant originality of your intended research. So as I mentioned that, okay, your research for the introduction, you need to provide the reader with a clear rationale of undertaking the presentation. So you need to give the examiners, or you need to illustrate to us, that you have a very clear picture, clear picture on the research that you want to do. So that basically this is what I needed in the introduction. So how many pages for the introduction? Normally, normally is not more than 10 lah. And for the introduction, for the introduction, and then don't mix up between chapter 1 and chapter 2. You need to plan your writing. Okay, how is the sequence of chapter 1 and the sequence in the chapter 2? What are the point? What are the things that you need to put in the chapter 1? What are the details that you need to put in the chapter 2? So, okay, so the introduction, and then okay, so this is this another one is a very important fact, which is I'm very so far I experienced my Viva session or different proposal. So we statement of problem is always been a problem. Okay, so mostly your statement of problem is not a problem. Okay, so you need to understand that why we conduct research. We conduct research because there is a problem in the situation. So there is something, there is a problem related with what you want to investigate. If not, you don't conduct research when there are no problems. So you need to make sure that your problem statement, case statement of problem is really genuine. Okay. So research problem refers to the vehicle that the research experience in the. So you can research problem can be either you experience it, okay, or either you can look from other literature and so on. So, and what are you want to obtain a solution? Okay. All right. So normally in the statement of problem, okay, you need to this important thing. You need to highlight what are the actual problem faced. This one is the main thing. So let's say you want to look on the, okay, let's say I have a title, teacher attitude toward using ICT. Let's say, so teacher attitude toward using the ICT. The first thing that you want to raise up is that whether in the current situation, teacher don't have a positive attitude toward using ICT. That one is the main idea, especially your DVs, for those who doing your quantitative. So that one is your DV. So you need to really highlight. So when you do the sequence of your statement of problem, the actual problem need to be highlight first, and then to make sure you need to make sure that this is a problem statement. And then also the other thing is that problem related with the variable studies. Sometimes you see you want to look on factors that let's say a factor that influencing student teacher attitude toward using ICT. So you have several IVs. You have listed several IVs. So you need also to make sure that why you choose that variables. So is there any problem with the variables? So other variable. And these are the most important thing. And the important thing need to be supported by the latest previous research. Is normally we come across that when you highlight a problem, the problem is in 1997. Okay, or the problem is you could you cite references in 2001, you cite references in 2003. So that one is 16 years ago, 18 years ago. So we only ask whether this one, the problem that you raise up in your problem statement is 2003, whether in the 2020 or 2021, is it this problem still occurs or not? So there always be a question on that. So make sure that when you create a statement of problem, it need to be from a current problem, from current literature, and then you need to also from the reliable source. Okay, you need reliable source. For example, if something that you want to state about the current situation in Malaysia. So we prefer if you have a report by the government, or report from a newspaper and so on. Okay, that one. And then the other component is that okay, so the actual problem, and then problem related with the various studied, and then support, and then this one. What is your research gap, practical gap? So these are another components. So we want to know that what is the difference between your study and other people's study. This is where you highlight your novelty of your studies, of your research. So let's say you compare your research with others. For example, by Fauzi, by others person. So this fella, okay, let's say Jonathan research is on this one. Okay, Mary from this one, Huang from this one, and so on. And your study is differ from others. Okay, so that is your research gap. And then we have another thing is that the theoretical gaps. Okay, what is the difference between research gap and the theoretical gap? The theoretical is a different. What are the theory or model that you're using compared to others? Yeah. So you need this. They also look for the novelty. Okay, I've come across that some students using the same framework, they change only the variable studies. So they're changing for instead of variable A to variable B. Let's say the model have 7 variable. Okay, the student only change 1 or 2 variable and then say that this is the novelty. That one is different. Normally we will look on the normally for a PhD level we combine several theories and put it in one and come up with your own theory or model, and then express clearly to be able to undertake the research. Okay, well, you are lucky that we also will have a session for this by Professor Dr. Abdul Latif, Prof. Abdullah. Okay, he is one of the established in the qualitative study. So he will give a talk on the 10th of February. So the title, When the Problem is the Problem. Please, I hope that all of you could attend this one, 10 February, because this is very important. Because we always facing problem when doing a statement of problem. We are lucky. Well, you are lucky that in the UPM, so we are. Okay, thank you for the graduate office for organizing of this type of talks. So it will give you a different view. All right. Okay, and then okay, I'll look for the chat. Okay. I try to answer for the chat. Okay. By Ibrahim, what is the difference between background of the problem and the problem statement? Okay, background of the problem is something that you are planning to do for your research. Problem statement is something when I read problem statement from the first uh, word until the last word, it should sound like a problem. Except for the first paragraph and the last paragraph. So you divide your problem statement into a certain paragraph. One problem, one paragraph. So you write comprehensively. So let's say you have the first thing is that you want to highlight that teachers don't have a positive attitude toward using ICT. So you write the whole thing in a one paragraph. So and then towards the end you make a small conclusion at the paragraph. What are the problem that you want to raise up. Okay. By Hafiz, can we actually cite it from a newspaper article itself? As far as I know, sometimes newspaper articles are not really reliable. Okay. You can normally I did. Okay. Another thing is that this one is certain supervisor, they have a different school of thought. Okay, to me it's okay. Sometimes anything that you want to support related with your government, government issues and so on. For example, you want to talk about the Malaysian performance in the teams. Malaysian performance in the teams or PISA or SPM. Our examination, national examination. So you need to have this type of report. So this type of report you can access from the ministry, or sometimes you can access from a newspaper. Some newspaper they will give a conclusion summarize. So you may use this one. But then it's better if you can have this type of support if it come from a government document. Okay, so you can have the newspaper, and also you need to have a support from others. Okay, how should we plan structure or ideal structure of the article? We are not talking about article, we talk about the research proposal. Okay, another thing that for the research problem and for the problem statement, okay, must not more than 3 or 4 pages. Understand, class? So you don't have you don't give 20 pages for the problem statement. Problem statement should not more than 3 to 4 pages. So in the problem statement, you need to be supported, and then you need to write it very comprised, comprehensive, and detailed, and not more than 3 to 4 pages. Okay, so that's the only thing that I will explain on the problem statement. All right, now we go to the objective of the study. So objective of study is that, okay, normally when we look at your objective of study, so we are looking for what? I'm looking for what are the variables? What are the variables of your study? Either your independent variable or your dependent variable. So normally when I read your objective, I know that every objective will reflect on the analysis that you are going to do. For example, for a qualitative, when I read your objective, I know that whether you are doing an interview or whether you are doing the observation, or you are doing the content analysis. And then for the quantitative study, so by look at your objective, I know that you are doing a correlation, or you are doing the difference, and you find the differences, or you're doing the multiplication, or you're doing the structure equation model. So your objective should reflect all these things. Should reflect all the analysis that you want to use for the average objective. So you need to, based on this one, I took it from the internet. So the objective should be specific. So detail exactly what needs to be done. And the thing is that need to be measurable. Sometimes some objective that we always come across, that actually we don't know what are actually the student want to measure. So is it the measure the attitude, or something is tempting to measure on what? So it's not clear. Achievement of progress can be measured, and then and also it need to be achievable. Something that we need to know that whether the objective that you are planning to do is something that you can achieve. Okay, and then need to be realistic. So you need to understand that when you doing PhD, you have a certain time. You have your time constraint. We also, as supervisor, we have a time constraint. Okay, so it need to be realistic and also time. Okay, for example, at the moment now, I have a student that doing an experimental study. Okay, somehow he is planning to do, during the original plan, he is planning to do a face-to-face experimental study. I'm sure that if you want to, for those who are doing the experimental study, okay, so we know that now the situation is under the COVID-19. So the actual plan is when we are planning to do and face-to-face experimental study at school, we cannot do that. We cannot implement that. Therefore, we need to change. We need to change from the face-to-face to a different type of way of conducting the experimental study. So we change it to a module and we do it online. So this is where the process of learning. Sometimes you have, okay, some people have the journey of your study, you have a very smooth one, okay, but some student we have a very not that smooth, something is crooked along the way. So this is are the challenges. So you need to accept that these are the things, these are the process of learning. So the more challenging that you have, the more challenge that you face, it make me your PhD is more better, much better, and then it make you more good, more better students and other more better person in future, because your PhD come from this type of challenges. Okay, and then hypothesis. So after you plan your research, so you need hypothesis. But then for those who are doing the qualitative, you don't have the hypothesis in it. You only have a research questions. So normally for the quantitative, we have the hypothesis. So the hypothesis should be specific. So we know that, okay, a good research hypothesis need to be clear about what being expressed and very specific about the expected outcome. Normally when hypothesis, we know that whether we accept or reject the hypothesis, isn't it? So it must be specific. So one hypothesis is one output. One output. Hypothesis is an early judgment, whether you want to reject or you want to accept the hypothesis. Okay, and then it need to be testability. So your hypothesis should be able to be tested. So whether you want to do the differential, you want to do correlation and so on. And for severability, this one is that you need to make sure that your hypothesis should be two ways. Either you want to reject, and also your hypothesis should be either you can accept or you can be rejected. So you cannot have only one way. You need to accept. So that is not an hypothesis. So your hypothesis should be either is true or false. So these are the things that we consider in the hypothesis. And the last in this one is in the chapter 1. Okay, the definition of term. So the definition of term always will help to clarify the purpose of the direction of the study of being conducted. So normally, what are the things that we have for the definition of term? Okay, your variable of studies. So variable of study, you need to give definition for your variable of studies. So normally in the definition of term, you should highlight on your conceptual definition and also your operational definition. So this one need to be clear. Normally in the research proposal, we will look on the variable of study. We want to make sure that normally on the committee, we want to make sure that whether you know your variable of study or not. So whether you understand what are you going to measure based on your variables. So variable study, you need to have a conceptual definition. So conceptual definition is something that you cite from any books or journals. And the important thing is the operational definition. The operational definition is something that how the variable works in your study. And then you need to understand that your operational definition should be in line with your conceptual definition. Okay, some student that I've come across, okay, you know that conceptual definition, nowadays we have a lot of internet source, so they just copy and paste from the internet and just put on this one. You need to make sure that your conceptual definition is related with the study that you want to conduct. So don't just simply find and then you find the keyword and you found the keyword and then you copy and paste. And then bear in mind that for a conceptual definition, you need to take from a good journal, from a reliable journal. Okay, so you don't took from any journals or anything that you find from your Google. So you need to make sure that the source is from a good journal, and then especially if you have identified the instrument that you are going to choose, you want to choose for your study. Okay, you need to take the definition from the instrument. Okay, let's say I want to measure teacher's attitude. Okay, I took it from Fraser's instrument. Let's say Fraser's instrument 2016, and by right I need to use Fraser's conceptual definition for define my teacher's attitude. So you can at least two conceptual definition and one operational definition. And then the operational definition should be in line with your conceptual definition. Okay, I'll try to answer Azhar. For the qualitative research, do we need to have include hypothesis? No. For qualitative research, you only have your research questions. Should we include operational definition in the qualitative research? Yes. Okay. You need to define your operational definition, especially for the qualitative. You towards the end you will have the certain theme. So when you do the qualitative analysis, at the end you will have the certain theme. Then theme. If then you need to define that. All right. Okay, literature review. Okay, I want to share my slide. Okay, I want to, in the chat room, I want to share my slide there. You can download my slide at this one, at my chat room. Wait. Sekejap mana tak boleh share ni? Never mind, I don't know how I can wait. I want to share my slide with all of you. Okay, this one. Chat. Okay, I have shared my. Hopefully that I upload the Quran. Okay, I have uploaded my presentation. Okay, all right. Okay, now we go to the second part. Okay. Okay, for the second part on the literature review. Okay. Okay. So, literature review is a survey of scholarly source on the specific of. So, literature review is in the chapter 2. So, normally in the literature review, okay, what are the things that you need to put in the literature review? So, you need to, on the past studies, so something you need to write on your related with your theories, methods, gaps, and so on. So from the literature review, okay, for literature review, normally I'm as the examiners. I want to know that whether this student they have a sufficient knowledge on the research area that you are planning to do. You are planning to do. Whether you have a knowledge on that. So that's why in the literature review you need to be very comprehensive and very detailed. Okay, so these are the things. So related theories, and normally we want to look on the critical review of the previous research. We don't want students just to read literatures and put it in the chapter 2 without doing a critical review. without doing a critical review. They just put it, copy paste, and towards the end, didn't summarize, didn't criticize. So towards the end, what is your understanding about this? Let's say you have a one part. So you can study by here, study by here. You have 10 to 12 references to support one ideas. One idea for this one, and then towards the end, you don't make a conclusion. So what is your understanding? What is your understanding on this one? Okay, what is your understanding about the literature review that you have done? Normally in the literature review, okay, at the end of every subtopic, the outline later we are going to do, you need to make a conclusion. We want to see your voice when you do your literature review. And towards the end, the theoretical and the conceptual framework. We will go detail on this one. Okay, so these are the things. These are the things that they are the things to be considered in when you are at the literature review. Okay, so why you need to why we do need to have a chapter 2? So as I mentioned that we want to know that normally we want to know that whether the student have enough sufficient knowledge on the research, sufficient what we call that, sufficient literature to support your hypothesis, and for the who doing the quantitative, sufficient knowledge on the theories or the models that you are planning to do. So then from the literature review, you will develop your theoretical and also from your methodology. So, and then from the literature review, we also will look on the position whether you are compare your study with others. So from literature review, we look the range of your research. So whether is it in line with previous study or not. And then show how your research addresses a gap and contributes to a debate. So these are the things that the needs for us to write a literature review. Okay, so search for relevant literature. Okay, so normally when you find a literature review, your literature review should reflect with your research problem. Okay, now that you need to understand when we create a research problem, the objective should solve the research problem. Understand? So you have these are your research problem. Okay, let's say your research problem. You said that you are teachers don't have a positive attitude toward using ICT. So then from that, based on that, you create your objective. So your objective is to investigate teacher attitude toward using the ICTs, and then it need to be supported by literature that's saying teachers are not whatever teacher literature related with teachers attitude lah. And then you use the methodology to investigate that one. So then you need to search for relevant literature. So normally relevant literature is related with your variable study and also for your research question or research hypothesis. And then choose a focus and develop a central question to direct your search. So you need to have normally in the literature review you need to have a very accurate, what we call that, accurate keywords. Accurate keywords to find your literature. Creating a list of keywords. This one. So by right, you have known what are the research that you want to conduct. You list out your research. Okay, in Google, normally if you find the right keywords, you will have a right. We will find the right literature. So if you want to have something yang very current, you just add plus 2020. So something the keywords you do with the plus 2020 at the end. So you will have a latest one. Sometimes in Google, something in Google, when you different time, you will have a different article. Different time with different articles in the different way. So maybe you try today you have different article, tomorrow different, even though you are using the same keyword. Okay. Okay, so this one is a search for the relevant literatures. Okay, and then evaluate and select sources. So this another thing that we always face a problem. Okay, nowadays we know that the internet area. Okay, you need to the difference between the now current situation and previous situation. Now you are in the situation where you have an overload information. You have too many information. Sometimes you can even find your literature from the handphone. You can search your internet from the handphone. So you have a lot of information that you can put in your chapter 2. So you need to start to what we call that sort. The most reliable source to put in your research. Okay, so then normally you need to use database to search. Okay, university library catalog and so on. So I would like to advise that if you can please use journal from a reliable, from a good journals. For example, normally in the UPM in our supervisor we look for Scopus journal, citation index journals, and so on. So you don't as I said that when you Google you can find any source, but then you need to be wise to sort which article that suitable for your studies. So you can use normally in UPM you can browse it through the university library catalog. For social science we have several database, let's say in the Science Direct or in the Sage and so on. So this is from a good journal. So these are the thing also that we examiners we're looking at for during our viva. So we will look at the quality of the journals, not the quantity of the journal, the quality of the journal that you refer. Okay, and then another thing that okay, some students are tend to cite something that they didn't even cite. Okay, for example, they say that this statement is cited from certain references, but then when we check, the journal never exists. So you need to bear in mind that your examiner is not is some your examiner is not an ordinary person. They are very known in their areas. Okay, so just the one keyword is that you need to be sincere when you do this literature review. If you have the literature review, then you write. If you don't have, then you don't write. Okay, so you have write, you need to read, and then you need to write it from an original source. I know that you will always okay if you read an article, okay, and then you know that from the article we have some references inside the article. By right, if you want to use the statement from the journal, which is from the other journals, you need to read from the original journals. So you need to look the original journal, because maybe the journal that you pick, that you took, so the author have changed a lot of things. So the author have simplified the statement, so maybe it should be different with the original one. So always look for from an original sources. Wait, I will answer the chat room after the chapter 2. Okay. Understand the connection relationship between the source, and then what are the things you need to set the themes, and then these are the elements and the trend, the patterns in the theory. So this one is what where you need to be more critical. You need to criticize, and then you need to have argue debate on the theory, method, results, and why you choose this theory, why don't you choose the next theory or other theories. So this one you need to, but basically it's about justify, defend. So why you need to choose this one? So if you are planning to do the experimental study, why you want to do experimental study? Why you don't want to do the survey? So all these things should be come into your mind. Okay, as before. Okay, this one until you have graduated, then you can stop thinking about that. Okay. So the debate, conflict, contradiction, gap, or whatever. So these are the things that you always need to have, to have in your mind when you're doing your pursue your study. That's why we call the PhD is the permanent head damage. Okay, this the stand for. So you need to always argue and so on this one. Okay. Okay. This is the very important thing, because we have your because we have at the new era we have a very information overload. So the first thing that you need to you need to sit down with your supervisors or advisors to do the outline of your literature review. For example, this one I took from my students. So he is doing the ICT in Nigeria. So I sit with him. So I outline my literature review. You know that how this thing will help. Okay, let's say you have this type of outline. Okay, at the moment at this station you don't know what are the literature that you want to go, you want to find. Let's say you go and search, and you found one literature, that which is very good and current, and after you read it, and you can see that that one can be included in, let's say, in the 2.5.1. So you copy you copy and paste or whatever, you summarize the journal, the article, and then put it under 2.5.1, and then you read again, and then maybe it's suitable under 2.3 and so on. So that one will provide you something that you outline here. So as long as you, when you read a journal and you think that journal is suitable or related with the study, so you just put the idea and put it here. So at the early stage, you just copy and paste or whatever, put inside this outline, and after at a certain point, you need to put a stop. Then therefore, at that stage, you start to write your literature review. So write your literature review after this stage. After you read, you put in here, put copy paste, until you think that it's time for you to stop finding the literature at the moment. So you need to understand that when you do a literature review, this is a very continuous process until you graduated. In fact, after Viva also, we also ask you to update your literature review with the current one. Okay. So then after that, then you start write your literature review. You have the normally okay, this one. Okay, you have divided it into certain section here. Okay, so every session, so the rule of thumb is that you need to have a introduction, main body, and a conclusion for every session or subsection. So this is what we call an academic writing. So this is also the skill that most of the students don't have, the academic skill of writing. So for early stage, yes, but when the time you submit your thesis, so you need to have this what we call as an academic writing. So to have an academic writing, you need to write. Okay, you need to write to improve and so on. You write and send to your supervisor. The supervisor will comment and so on. So these are the process. You need to understand that these are the process that you are going to face. These are the process that I face. These are the process that your supervisors face before when they are doing their studies. So we are transferring. We are transferring this type of knowledge to you. Because we are also face that one during our studies. And you start to summarize and synthesis, give an overview of the main points of each sources, analyze and interpret. This one is very important. The critically evaluate. That one is that's what we call it a literature review. You review your literature. You copy and paste your literature. So you review your literature. Okay, write in a well-structured paragraph. Okay, So please avoid from copy and paste. You can copy and paste at this stage. Yeah, at this stage you can copy and paste, but when you come at this stage, you need to rephrase and need to write at your own word. Eh? That will help you to avoid the plagiarism. You need to understand that towards the end, your thesis will be submitted to turn it in. Yeah. Alright, and then the last one for the chapter 2, you need to have the theoretical framework and your conceptual framework. Theoretical framework is where the theory you need to read for the literature review. What are the theories or models that you are going that related with your studies? So it might be one or two or three theories or models, but it can be one or two, but not one. I'm not sure whether they come across of one. Only you use one theory, but you need to have a theory which is a backbone of your studies. And then for a quantitative study, every variable should come from a theories. Should related with a theories. Let's say you have 5 to 6 variables, so every variable should related with the theories. Okay, and then you need to demonstrate understanding of the theories and concept. So in the theoretical framework, you list out what are the theories that you are going to use related to your studies. Okay, okay, this is another thing. So you need to justify what are the theory that you are going to use. Why you use theory A, not theory B? Why you use theory B, not C? This one is the you need to justify, and then you need to be critically right on your theoretical on your theory, and then from this theoretical framework, okay, we come out with a conceptual framework. So the conceptual framework, actually from the conceptual framework, I know that what are the research that you are doing, what are the analysis that you are doing, what are the things that you are planning to do. Okay, so it can you be a different work of the so theoretical framework and conceptual framework need to come side by side. Okay. For example, you can see that this one. Okay. Okay. For example, this one 2.7 is my student theoretical framework. Okay. So 2.7 theory related. So these are the theory that he is doing. But okay, but right, this one is his masters. So 2.7 is theory related. So he is using the 3 theories, TRA, TPB, TAM. Then from these 3 theories, he derived it into a theoretical framework. Then from a theoretical framework, come out with the conceptual framework. So normally it should be side by side. Okay, then whether the theoretical framework and conceptual should be at the beginning or at the last. So this one it depends on the school of thought of your supervisors. Normally in the Viva, okay, as long as it's there and it's okay. To me lah. But then you know that sometimes Viva, you one day you have a different verdict with another day. So I've come across with a lot of Viva. Some verdict they say that you need to do like this, blah 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 blah. Some Viva you need to do that. So it depends on that day. Okay, but anyway, it doesn't reflect much lah. So okay, when you do your literature review, you write from a general statement to more specific. It's like a code here. So you write from a general statement and then focusing to a more specific. And then in the between, you support with your theory, supporting studies, and so on. Question program, and then the categories and so on. So it's like a cone. So it's like a cone, and then towards the end, it's focusing on this one. So this type of structure you need to do at the every subtopic. And so every subtopic of your literature review should be from a general to a specific, so that you will guide your examiners to read this one. Oh my God, the 1:30 already. Okay, okay, I try to answer this one. Okay, outline retrieval should be done after searching journal or before. Okay, I answer Amira question. So normally, for my student, I did this one is sometimes different with the school of rule of thumb, school of thought now of your supervisors. To me, normally, with my student, I always sit down with them. I do the outline first. I do the outline first, then they will start doing the journals. So, but before that, they need to read first. They need to read first to come out the idea. So you don't come to see your supervisor and do the outline before you know what are you going to do first. First, you need to read the journal to have an idea what are you are planning to do, and then what are the variable that you are studying. Then from there, we build up to do your outline. Okay. Thesis, are they considered as an unpublished thesis? Yes, for the unpublished thesis, okay, you can use the thesis. But then another thing is that when for the unpublished thesis, and try to avoid using the instrument taken from the thesis. Because normally instrument taken from the thesis is not from the original source. So you can use unpublished thesis as your references. Okay, what are the difference between underpinning theory and supporting theory? So, as long as the underpinning theory is the main theory is the background of your story. So normally in a research, you will have a theory, a very strong theory that related with your research. So this theory will be a backbone of your study, and on top of that, you have some other theory that we're going to support your studies. So you may not have a one theory that really support to the whole of your study. So sometimes you have so many variables, which sub variable is come from the other theory. That's why we call it supporting theory. So normally in the PhD, PhD level, we mixture between several theories to come with one theory. Okay. Doctor, is it okay one theory support a dependent variable and another? Okay, this one is very subjective. Okay, how enough is enough a theory that you're going to use? It depends on your supervisors. So I cannot say 4 theories is enough. It depends. As long as all the theory that you use covered your research, covered your variables of studies. Can we change the word of the original researcher and cite assist? I don't understand this. Can we change the word of the original researcher? What, you want to change the variable name? I'm not sure. So you cannot change the variable name because you need to have a permission. So every instrument that you're going to, you need to change the, you need to have the permission. Okay. All right. Okay. So we come to the last part. For the research proposal, I come back to the question. Okay, the last part, the methodology. Okay, normally what at the committee there is 2 different things. Within a different proposal, we want to really make sure that the student understand how to conduct a research. That one is during the different proposal. That's why you need to be very precise and very detailed in your methodology during the different proposal. But then when you are during the application, when you nominate your supervisor, we just want to know whether the student understand or not. What are the things? So it's more like so more relaxed for the first one compared to the different proposal. Different proposal, you need to be more detailed. I want to know how you collect the data, what are the instruments you know, the procedure and so on. But then for the first part, it's just to give a rough idea. Okay. So what are the things that you need to include in the methodology? Your research design, okay, location study, respondent, data collection, and so on. Okay, this one I'll go into detail. So this one you need to know that. Okay, now most of you have enrolled the research method class. So at this stage, we want to know whether you know your what is your research design. You do a correlational, survey, action research, ethnography, historical, or experimental. We don't want research design is something different. You don't say that you are doing a quantitative or qualitative study. That one is a type of research. Research design is here. It's a methodology. Whether you are doing a correlational, experimental, or for those who are doing the qualitative, you're doing different types. So you need to be stated on that. Okay, not my research design is a quantitative study. That one is the type of research. Or my research is using a questionnaire. So that one is the instrument. Okay, so the research design is one of these. Discuss and write about the design employed in the studies. Okay, and then the location. Okay, you need to be specific with the location of your study. Okay, so for example, my student are conducting in Nigeria, so he cannot conduct in the whole Nigeria, but then he conduct in one of the state. So then he need to justify. For example, in Malaysia, you are conducting in Malaysia. Let's say you are conducting in the Selangor. Do you know that half of majority of the researcher here is doing the research in the Selangor? Can you imagine if you are a Selangor teacher, you will you get every day you will have a receive an online survey, asking to you to fill in and all the students. So that's why you need to justify the location. Why you choose Selangor? If not, you don't choose Selangor. Why you choose Melaka, Negeri Sembilan, or so on? You need to justify the location. And then if maybe you have a question, so in PhD, how much, how many, master is how many, that one is different. That one different, that one you need to discuss with your supervisor. So maybe you will be higher question, for PhD, how much is the location? So for me, I have my own stand. For me, let's say my student for my PhD, normally I go for the whole Malaysia. Okay, or I go by zone. My standard lah. For master of science, I go for one state. Okay, that one is my school, my rule of thumb. Other supervisors' rule of thumb is different. Okay, and then the selection of the subject. Okay, and then you need to be clear who is your population and who is your sample. And then you need to, even though they are qualitative also the same thing, either quantitative or qualitative, you need to justify your population or your sample here. So this one is also important. Why you use this population and sample. So there are two things that you need to justify: the location of the study and then also the population and the sample. Why you choose secondary school student, not primary school student? Why are you choosing mathematics teachers and not science teachers, and so on? Okay. And then in the methodology, okay, you decision the instrument methodology. Let's say you want to use a survey, and then for the defense proposal for the so I would suggest that for master research proposal, to enroll the master proposal, after you have a very, I cannot say a very good proposal, but at least you know what is your chapter 1, 2, 3. Because during the seminar class, the lecturer in the seminar class will help to not when I cannot say the proof, but we help to strengthen your proposal. Okay, Dr. Director PSA is 7, but it's okay to see. Okay, this one normally we use the latest one, Shafika. So you use the latest one, 7 edition, but then okay, another thing is the keyword is that consistent. Consistent. If you will use the 6 APA, as long as it's consistent. Okay. But then again, this is depend on your Viva. So if your examiner say you need to do the 7, then you need to do the 7 lah. The last thing in your journey is that it will be decided by the Viva panelists. So some Viva panelists are very strict. So because why you need to follow the Viva panelists? because your Viva panelist is the one who are going to sign to endorse your graduation. As long when they didn't sign your graduation the form, you will not graduate. So by hook or by crook, you need to do wherever instruct by your panel. Okay. Okay. Do all study to have this regard theoretical, practical, and policy? I'm not sure about the policy gap lah, but then theoretical and practical gap, you need to have policy gap. I'm not sure. It depends lah. Sometimes on the lecturer, on the supervisor, school of thought. Some people will say the policy gap. Okay, but then this thing is during Viva. So if you don't have the policy gap, let's say, then they will ask you to include for the thesis correction. What is the best type of research method to choose during the pandemic? Oh, this is a very difficult question, Faris. So it depends on the nature of the studies. So you are talking about don't do the experimental or what? I'm not sure. But this one, I cannot certain answer. I cannot really be precise on this one because it depends on the research. I don't know what is your research, so I cannot give a further instruction suggestion. Okay, thank you Siti Zishin, thank you Siti Syuhada. Ini student saya ke boleh? Doctor, can we use instrument instead of the instrument from the theory we apply? Can we use other instrument? Okay, you can use other instrument as long as the instrument that you choose for your study is related with your study. If the instrument is really measure your variables. So you can choose others. But then will be highly suggested that you use from the theory or model that you use. For example, you are doing the theory technology acceptor model. Let's say, so technology model is item from Davis atau Venkatesh. So by right, it's good you using from them. But then you can modify it so that it is related with your study. Okay, Rashika. Doctor, I believe every argumentation must be supported from scholars code, right? Yes, every argumentation should be supported. Doctor, could I know what seminar means at the PhD level? Ooh, what do you mean by this one, seminar? I don't understand the question. Okay, could you explain what is the policy gap? Policy gap is what it is. I don't know. I never come across this one. Sorry, Gang Ginzi. So far, my student, I don't ask them to do the policy gap. Maybe this one. I'm not sure where you are in the which program. Maybe you can ask your supervisor what is a policy gap. I cannot explain this one because I never ask my student to this one. I'm afraid that I'm giving a wrong information. So please refer to your supervisor. Okay, Z Sheng. Okay, Azrina, thank you. Hi, doctor. Given the fact different courses, is there any different expectation from the examiner on the decision of grade? Okay, master research marker my coursework. Okay. Master by research and master by coursework. Okay, the difference between master by research and master by coursework. For the coursework, you need to take 40 credits to complete. You need to take certain subjects to complete. But then for master by research, you need to only take 9 credits and plus a dissertation. So for me, I'm expecting that for master of research, master by research, you will have a certain sufficient knowledge on doing research compared to those who doing by master by coursework. So for students who doing master by coursework, normally they don't have time to do research or they are not interested in doing the research. So but then they want to have masters. So they took subject. So they took 40 subjects. So for the master by coursework, normally their expertise in doing research is a little bit low compared to master by research. And compared to PhD, so PhD should be more wide. So let's say PhD is very huge and master is a little bit low and master by course is lower than the master by research. So we don't have we have the we don't have actually how the measurement on that, but then normally the supervisor will know how much, how enough for a master by research and master by coursework. Doctor, can we combine more than one instrument from a few? Yes. Okay. But then as long as the instrument, the item that you use is measure your variable. Because that's why you have one more step. You need to do a validation. Validation by an expert. So make sure that your expert is really expert lah. Normally a lecturers or what. So okay, you can use some instrument from other researchers. Sebenarnya is the curriculum that we choose no later than third semesters. So it depends lah. So the seminar class, so it depends. If you are, but then before you do your data collection, and make sure that when you enroll your seminar class before you do your data collection, because in the seminar class we are going to have to strengthen your proposal. Okay. Siti Syuhada, if the theory that we use in the derived combination of other theory, do we have to explain the theory in the chapter 2? Okay, yes. If you, let's say in your study combination of 2 or 3 theories, okay, the first thing that you need to elaborate what the theory 1, what is the theory 1? So when you elaborate the theory 1, you need to explain what is the theory 1, how the theory 1 works, and then how this theory related with your study. Okay, and then theory 2. Okay, and then theory 3. And then when come to the theoretical framework, you blend all these 3 theory into a theory, into one. How these 3 theory blend into your research. So that is a theoretical framework. So by that you need to explain all the theory that you are going to use in your studies. All right. So the last is from Filza. So I think I need to stop here. So it's nearly 2 o'clock. Extra 1 hour. So okay, just one more question from the audience. I can say that I've answered nearly 99% of the in the chat room. So for those I didn't answer, so I'm so sorry. So any question from the audience? Okay.
Yes, sir. One
Yes.
more question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doctor, in sometimes we make the women research is in new area. Can you give some can you give your experience about how to write a good literature review based on the less related resources? Because the sometimes the research we focus on is very new, or so I want to know your experience about facing on this situation. How can we write a good literature review?
Okay. Let's say that your research is new, not very new, isn't it? New.
Actually,
okay.
doctor, actually it's very new because the way I do the medical clinical medical I mean the clinical practice. So we want to use a new technique to treat the patients, but the technique have not conducted before. So less of resources about this technique. So I want to know how can I write a good literature review based on the resources.
Okay. Sometimes that when we plan our studies, that something subject is somehow is a new one, that there is no past literature, isn't it, to support your study, not a direct past literature. So what you can do is that you go to the nearest literature that related with your studies. Okay, let's say your study is related with taking medicine A. So there is no past study on research related with taking the medicine A. But in the literature review, you can go and look for any literature that taking medicine B, C, D, or E, which is medicine B, C, D, E is similar with the medicine A. You even though you're planning to do a new research, but then you still need to support with your previous literature, which is which is close to your research. I know that you cannot find, some students cannot find direct, literature to support, but then somehow you need also to find literature that similar, that is going to support with your studies. All right, okay.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
All right, thank you. So, everyone, I wish you good luck in your studies. That you need to have a strong belief that when you do your PhD or your masters, so these are a process of learning. Yeah. So along the way, there will be a lot of challenges and whatever. So now we are facing the COVID. So things are, this is a very unexpected. So but then this type of things, I think the important lesson that we learn from doing a PhD is the challenges is more important. The journey that you are going to face is much more important than the PhD that you produce, because this type of knowledge, this type of experience cannot, everybody will have different types. Okay, you need to understand that every one of you will graduated with a PhD, but every one of you will face with different types of challenger, different type of journey, and so on. I'd like to share that during my studies, somehow my supervisor passed away during I'm my second year, my PhD. Can you imagine? So no, that why I mentioned that some people will have the different types of journey. So towards the end, the one that make you pass your PhD is not about your completing your PhD. It's about you manage to overcome all these challenges. Some of you have problem with family, financial, and so on. So these are the gist of the doing the PhD or the masters. And then for all that, I would like to thank you very much. So again, good luck on your studies, and make sure you have very clear mind. You have a very clear research proposal for the second semester. This semester, first semester, yes, you have very hanky-panky things, but then for the second semester, you need to be very clear-cut with your proposal. Okay? Okay, for all that, thank you very much. Stay safe and good luck. Okay, bye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr.
Salam
Fauzi.
doktor. Thank you
Bye.
doktor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you doktor.
Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Assalamualaikum.
Thanks, Doctor. Take care.
Thank you,
Alright.
Doctor.
Doktor.
Ah.